So, with us today, we are going to have three excellent gentlemen joining us from the Atomic Intelligence, Tomislav Krizan, CEO. One big round of applause, please. Join me, Tomislav, at the stage. Also, we are going to have from Kantap P, CEO, Sinisa Slijepcevic. Sinisa, please join me at the stage. And the final panelist is coming from Generali Real Estate, that's Head of Data Analytics and Engineering, Biondi Stefano. Please, Stefano, join me. Excellent. So basically in this panel, we are going to dissect three important questions, which we're going to lead to and build the momentum toward the question, how to scale AI in organization. I know that we are all of us are speaking about AI, but in reality, that's excellent in the most of the companies. And we are talking most of the companies are taking most of the corporation. Of course, there's like databases, etc. But in the end, when we talk about scaling AI in organization, that turns to be very complex questions, and it has not a trivial answer to these questions. So basically, we dissected into three different rounds of questions. First one is level of projects that are implemented in the organization. We would like to talk a little bit more, so you can give us a practical example of the projects that are working there, you're working on, and you know that is working. Second one will be key challenges of greater implementation of AI in a large organization. That's going to be the second part, where we will also tap into your expertise and your experience. And last but not the least is, I think, the question to the question asked in the panel is that how challenges can be solved through people, tools, and successful technology projects. So my first question is, Stefano, for you, from Generali point of view and your personal point of view, what do you think? What is the level of the most project implemented organization? Is it advanced analytics, machine learning, or AI?
Okay, basically in Generali Real Estate, we are doing everything in terms of machine learning and AI. We started 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
And 4 years ago with my boss, and the objective, the goal of my CEO was to bring data-driven view in the company. And we started with a greenfield, completely greenfield. And so far we have worked on machine learning models, especially for the financials data, and all the models that came out with an output that you need to explain. So that's the main topic for the machine learning and optimization part. And then we starting work a lot with AI. Everyone knows about generative AI, so we are using a lot, but also the computer vision. I had a speech this morning and I showed how we use the satellite images, for example, in order to enhance all our analysis on the location intelligence. But we use also computer vision, for example, to analyze documents that are not PDF native or something like that. So
yeah, the question you have mentioned, the case actually you have mentioned regarding satellite images. I know that for the fact I was speaking with one person, professor from the Belgian university, and they were doing like machine learning project to try to basically equalize the quality of satellite images. It turns that can be a lot of issue there because of different satellites has different scopes, and that can be an issue. Like there's a better and like worse satellites. So this can be very interesting topics. Moving on, how did you implement? I would like to switch to Sinisa. Basically, I would also like to understand. I know what your company is doing. Maybe you can give just one or two sentences. And what is your opinion about the level of project with the companies that you are working on? On what level they are mostly, like advanced analytics, machine learning, or AI?
Okay, so good to see you again, Alex. Thank you for inviting me. So 2 sentences about Kantap. We are scale-up based in UK and here in Croatia, developing a platform for big pharma. Nothing else at this for big pharma. We are serving some of the largest pharmaceutical companies on the planet in their largest markets, Novartis and some of the others. So I can really witness and share some of the things we've seen and we've done in terms of what some of the biggest companies in the world are doing in this life science sector. And what I can say is that they're throwing tons of money in terms of prototypes and proof of concept projects at the wall to see what's going to stick. but there is very, very little in production delivering value.
Okay.
Specifically, big pharma, they're trying all kinds of things in clinical development. Very little of it is delivering value. I think there is one drug globally now developed with some sort of machine learning, which is trying to squeeze through clinical trials and nothing else. They're building data assets, but still these data assets are not delivering yet any bottom line. We are among the first ones which are really delivering value to this business, and the use case, which is for them now in production, is related to sales and marketing. What the sales rep, their main marketing channel, needs to do, so-called next best action. And this is something which is really now in advanced production, partly due to us and some of the competitors in the market as well. Big Pharma is spending 60% of their budget on sales and marketing. Their main channel is sales rep, and extremely important for them to use this budget more efficiently. And here is where really machine learning and AI is starting to deliver value, saving them time in aggregating information, advising them how to use their time more efficiently,
okay,
whom to call, when, and whom not. And finally, generative AI starting to prepare, not yet content, but some talking points and some aggregated information for these meetings to be more efficient. And these are like 3 use cases which are now starting to be mature and showing the result in the bottom line.
This is excellent example. Like, we're starting with real estate, now moving to pharma, and what you're saying basically is it's how they're utilizing AI as a tool and to save them a time, and I think that that's going to produce a lot of good impact, because optimization is something that people do forget. It's in the end, when we put everything aside, like with one small example of like a disruptive technology being placed, but we've put aside, I think the optimization is going to be always the most easily useful use case for any kind of technology related to data, and that's the hard truth. We can go ups and downs, but in the end, this kind of thing is going to produce on the short amount of time, the biggest revenue and impact. Tomislav, I know that you're, for the fact, I know maybe even more than some of your employees, how big scope of the project you're working on, because we are talking a lot about your company and what you're doing. And there's some, I don't know how to call these kind of projects that you're doing. I think the groundbreaking can be a good word. My question is also, like, what do you believe that the reality is for the most of your users and like customers? What is the hard reality? Are they mostly using advanced analytics, machine learning, or the artificial intelligence?
Real consulting answer would be it depends.
Okay.
But really it depends. Before I go in those use cases, I would say that there is one element which is trembling all the implementation of AI and ML in the last 18 months, and that's ChatGPT-driven dummification, where the people start to believe that GPT and generative AI can do everything, okay, without knowing boundaries and issues you may face during the project. So I would say if you have a good partnership with your clients or with whom you are working, advising to spread or to tackle AI and ML initiatives like you would eat an elephant in smaller chunks. And you start doing smaller elements which can easily be deployed to production instead of doing something big. So I'll give you an example. In December, we started to work with one of the biggest manufacturing companies in the US. And one of the first things was to prepare the data that they have it for point in time, let's say, decision making.
Okay.
And in the meantime, while the data was layering in appropriate lakehouse and type of infrastructure, we started to talk and prepare AI strategy, how it will evolve over the time so that they become more data-driven. And one of the first easiest elements is that salespeople, as we already know, are quite, let's say, reluctant to add information whenever they have a meeting with customers, even when they would need to do this as a next best activities or follow-up of previous meetings, etc., etc. So In that case, we went with a small plugin for Teams, Zoom, etc., which will do the summaries and action points and everything from the call. That was the easy AI type of Gen AI type of implementation, which was done in weeks. In the meantime, everything else started to prepare so that you can ask appropriate question, and then it will do all the customer behavior that you see, where you have trending up and down across the products, etc., etc. So all the small Lego boxes, which will lead either into reducing the cost of your business or finding new revenue streams. So that would be maybe the best approach, that you try to slice it. So either do customer churns or next best offers, or you start working on smaller ML type of activities before you come to the Gen AI, because Gen AI will be the one who collects all of those and then explains to you based on all of those sensoring activities you have from other models.
Okay, this is like this is very good point of like that we can calculate time before and after Christ, or before and after ChatGPT.
Yep.
Well, basically in our solution, like that's the God we are going to pray. But yeah, that's very interesting thing to do, and I can see with talking with a lot of companies, and I think that's going to rise up as one of the challenges of the great implementation of AI in large organization. That is the misconception, which is, I don't know what is the root of it, to be completely honest. Like I'm sure that people who are running companies, most of the companies, they are not just like somebody who is not that much intelligent to understand. I think that just the amount of information and sometimes looking for out, because there is so much more problems that you think this is going to solve solution, and that this false promise, I think that's the worst thing that can happen. Like when you don't fulfill something that you didn't even promise. That kind of management of expectation, I didn't know how to deal it. I would like first maybe Sinisa, you, and then after that to come back to, what do you think that basically, in your opinion, are the biggest challenges for greater adoption of AI in big organization?
Hype. Hype is the biggest threat. Hype is good, but hype is also bad. I'll give an example. Our biggest competitor is based in San Francisco, huge, extremely well capitalized company, who is overselling what they've got. And now, I think for the third or fourth time, we are replacing their solution with ours. But it's tremendous pain to be explaining to sales and marketing leadership that what we have is a true AI, because we constantly keep facing players in the market which oversell what they've got with huge amount of, if I can say, hype, without underlying solid data infrastructure, without underlying solid approach, expert knowledge, and everything else that you need to deploy a proper product based on AI in the market. So what you need to do based on what you've said is build foundations and then put AI on top of it.
Okay.
And then if I can complement with an example how to actually fight it. So what we do, we always recommend and then help our customers deploy as a pilot a really rigorous A/B test, which is not a technical A/B test, this is an impact A/B test. Again, we are serving pharma, they know what a clinical trial is, so they understand the language. And then we help them design a proper, so to speak, clinical trial where, say, 30% of sales reps in a certain market are using our solution, 70% are not. And after 4 months, we compare difference in sales. And once the customer sees that the team which is using our solution is 20-30% more efficient, and these are real numbers, but these are huge numbers if you're generating in a market 100 or 300 million euros of sales. These are typical teams we're serving. These are huge numbers. Then it's game over. Then nothing else matters. Technical issues are really not that important. If this thing is delivering impact to the bottom line, then that's what they need. And this is the way to fight hype and really build buy-in.
What you just said is resonant. I was talking with my friend who is like the CEO of one, let's say, big but undercover big cybersecurity company. He called there is two types of competition. One is loyal competition, and the second is unloyal competition. So basically, what is the difference? With loyal competition, if somebody comes to price reduce, I'll tell it's going to cost the same. If it's unloyal with competition, I'm going to talk how they are doing business. But basically, I think that in the end, I know that for the fact, of course, there's a difference in approach how in US and basically in Europe, the people are doing the business-wise. But that is, for me, what you said, I think it's one of the biggest, especially for the European companies. If we're talking about here, about Adria and Europe as a primary market, to be completely frank, is that we need to understand that there is some, like we are talking about ethics in the development of AI, and we are not talking about ethics in business. Come on, let's be a little bit realistic. We need to, if we are going to talk about one thing, we need to talk about this ethics thing. Let's talk about ethics in government. Let's talk about ethics in faculties. Let's talk about ethics in everywhere. And I think that this is something that maybe technology, like once again, it's going to be the one that's going to create the whole hype about talking about this thing, because people will talk much more than they understand it, especially on the technology level. You put ethical and bias on the technology level. That's, if you understand it, you can do that, you can penalize, but that's like basically a lot of theory. It's not that easy to create, and it costs a lot. But basically, Thomas, I know that you have something you would like to add, so I would like to give you before Stefano the word, because I can see that you're already very prepared.
Yeah, definitely the hype. So that's the bottleneck, which always trembles. But it's also about speed of the change, how the AI is advancing now on a daily level, not on a monthly or quarterly. So we again are returning on dividing a problem in a smaller manageable pieces which you can solve in a shorter amount of the time, so that you have successful delivery, so that you can up your sales for 300 million or what, or find the issues in your processing, or manufacturing, if you try to align all the how you call it, like assembly lines, etc., etc. So it helps you to find where the bottlenecks are.
Okay.
And we found out through simple exercise for essentially this US-based manufacturing. They have a company in France which is now ramping in the sales about 300% over the previous year. And they have a bottleneck because nobody is able to approve that something is shipped from the facility when it's manufactured. The one who is doing logistic and transportation knows because they load it in the trucks and they moved it, but nobody entered in the CRM and ERP that this is done. And they do this at the end of the day, and this is the biggest bottleneck of them to ramping manufacturing part. So that can be easily solved by when you printing, this is what we talk with them, when you print your orders or proof of deliveries, you put a QR code with specific information so that they just take a picture directly in a logistical, like in warehouse, and close the order without stacking the paper and then later on scanning them, etc., etc. And we found that additional issue with older people who do the following. When they find some technical issue on a process, like on IT infrastructure, again, this is a little bit different client, but what they do, they take a screenshot of error. They print it out. They scanned it after that in PDF and send it with an email. So many unnecessary work. So even the people culture needs to be changed to start adopting.
Yeah, what you're talking about, there's two things. One is culture, second one is processes. I believe in the processes. When I was working with NCR, we found out that for in the Texas region, like let's know this part of US, that the most of the I was working in NCR, the most of the malfunctions created for one bank was due to the reason that people were putting the coins instead of in the part where you should be put credit cards. And it was like 70% of the errors. And we had a project, and we of course delivered project in the end. But I was talking with my seniors, and they asked me, "Let's create a model that will create. We see when the person who is like technical, like guy who can repair that, can easily solve that, like optimize." I said there is a very easy solution. And they said, "What? Just print. Don't put coins." And put it inside of it, and you're going to solve like at least 50% of the malfunction. But basically, the processes are in the first place. I totally agree on that. That's one of the bottlenecks, like when we are talking about implementing. We can create AI, but if it's not aligned, or the processes are not like, let's say, changed, due to this AI change, it is going to create havoc. Stefano, what is your opinion about? We have started talking about this thing. What do you believe, from your point of view, what is also beside culture, processes, and hype? Is there something else you would like maybe to mention?
Yeah, maybe let me bring on the table a point of view that is from a company that maybe is a little bit more institutional and that need to basically the company has several teams, several business functions and so on. So I see that first thing first is the change management and the ability to bring the value on the right table and being able to show the value also to the people that are less, believe less on the technology, or on the other side, set well the expectation of the people that are super pro technology, but they don't understand what is behind the technology. Okay. So sometimes just think, okay, we have AI, and now from tomorrow all the processes will be smooth, and it's not for sure. So that one is the first one, and the second one is in a let me say big institutional company. The first issue to solve is the data, because you need to have a data lake, a data warehouse, somewhere the clean and trusted data. That's the first topic, because other we talk about fundamentals. If you don't have the data, you cannot build anything. So that's the two main components I see as a challenge for our team, and in general for a team that want to develop machine learning or AI models. So
let you put you here on spot. Also, what do you think regarding the how this challenge can be solved? What you just mentioned, these two people, tools, and let's say successful technology projects. What is your experience?
Okay, on my side, the point is having talent and skilled people that can handle all the process of the machine learning and AI projects. We, for example, a lot of time happened that in other business function, in other part of the company, also in the group, in the insurance, or in other investment part of the company, they ask us just to overview a project where AI or machine learning were involved. And if you just let me say, hire some consultancy for a very short time. Also, the most known
BCG
company. we never work with BCG actually, but
there's a reason.
But yeah. But in general, it's not a. I don't want to say anything against consultancy, because there are good people there. But sometimes they have to let me say accelerate and so on. And if you are not able to overview and review the projects, maybe you can put in production something that doesn't work, right?
Yeah, well, that's very, very, very nice way to say accelerate. Put junior and charge him as a super senior. But okay, Tomislav, I know that you wanted to add something. So
yep.
Also
two different things. Yeah.
Okay, I have a follow-up question after that you comment. Okay, but first you, of course.
Okay. So one of the first one is yes, definitely the people, but there is also a trend of stupidification happening, because there are tools who do a lot instead of it. Now we have so many experts who first saw AI yesterday, and they are on top of the line because ChatGPT and similar ones can generate a bunch of good results without knowing in the background. Now, when you go back, there is really two distinctive features when you are talking about AI and ML. Do you build your own models, or you use other people's models and then uptrain them with your data? And secondly, the most important part, besides all of what we said, is it's data, definitely. You saw that ChatGPT, well, no, GPT 4.0 is now free for everyone, and the reason is because OpenAI is sued because of the data they use for GPT-4, 3.5, and other. They now want to commodize you as a person to generate the data so that they can have your data for free. So similar like Google did previously with the search, they are doing this with the 4.0. You are providing content, and you are now commodity for generating data for OpenAI. So that's why they gave it for free.
Okay, this is a very cool thing, and there is I can tell you that we are like finishing negotiation with Rambo Amadeus to be a speaker at the Data Science Conference Europe, and he's going to be artificial intelligence versus natural stupidity.
Yeah,
like,
or machines are learning and people are forgetting.
Yeah, machine learning people forget. But basically, this is like this is the essence of what you are talking about. In the end, like we are who we are, like in the end, and we just need to accept ourselves with who we are, not to be like transhumans. I don't believe in transhumanism. I don't believe that mojo from the San Francisco, to be completely honest. Like if you're not satisfied with who you are, you can be whatever else you will like to be. You will still not be happy, to be completely honest. That's my motto in my life. Like be what you are and be happy about it and try to be happy. But the thing is, what I wanted to also to ask you, there is a problem, to be completely honest. We are not going to have all the time people who are passionate about technology. We are going to have people who don't care about the job. And they need to be employed in our company because somebody needs to do some kind of job in the end. Like that's the harsh truth. And I like to use this platform, DSC, to talk about what is realistic right now and to try to build from it. My question is, what is your opinion, how you can motivate the people who will not like to be bothered with the job of company, they would just like to work, get paid, and to go to vacation? How we can bring their data, what is your proposal to bring their data and AI literacy levels so they can also be let's say, somebody who collaborate on this data-driven transformation of the company?
I'll start a little bit differently. So like human intelligence is decreasing from 1992 onwards due to the fact that in nature, we are lazy. And when you have a free time, which is now solved by technology, a lot of people spend it on binge watching, etc., instead of doing something to upskill themselves. So if you surround yourself with the people who are curious, who would like to investigate something, then you know that you can go far, and they will do a lot. And if you can create environment where they are able to play around, well, not always, sometimes you need to have boundaries, but if they are free to play and do the research, then you can do a lot. If we change the laws from the other side, that we can start doing incentive in case of ownership of the company, you can again go on direction where you are able to produce something which is go to market, and with those who give you idea or who came for a part of idea gets part of the ownership. You evolve and you involve the people to work for themselves, not for you.
Okay, until what number of employee you believe this is realistic to be done in large organization? 100, 200, 5,000?
No. I would say that if you have a really good core for research and really people who are curious, 100 should be enough to move the mountain. Everything else is more hands-on, and you'll still need engineers, you'll still need classical developers to scale it. But the core team who is doing a real work, let's call it like that, in front of all
hard work.
I wouldn't say hard work, it's more like who are 5 or 10 years before anything else on the market, then this is something which is in a smaller groups. Okay. It's a differently tailored.
I have some similar approach. I was talking with Davorin from your company before, and we basically agreed of the number 50 to 70 actually, like before this. It was totally unrelated to this panel, and we were talking about, and we said, yeah, 50 to 70 sound realistic, like, so you know your employees, you know what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, how you can, what your colleagues basically, not all the workers, and how you can basically utilize and make still keep them satisfied and meaningful to the company, like 100%, so you don't have to drop out on the other way that don't care mostly about the company. That's also...
There is also one other thing, is that I really don't care about company. So that's one of the biggest things, because you don't care how the company is named, it's more about the people with whom you work.
Okay.
And when you surround yourself with the people who have a similar interest, it's much easier.
Of course.
And this can't scale. So you can't have 500 people with similar interest or 1,000 of them. 100, maybe it's a bottleneck, but it's up the number. And what I like also to do is to have a relatively flat hierarchy, and essentially more like a US military, how they do teams in a smaller 3 to 4 members where they are project or like a feature focused, and then have internal leaderships. So over-governancing is not something I like to. I hired first of the few people with whom I wanted to work, and then let them to find with whom they would like to work.
That's a good approach. Sinisa, what I wanted to tell, what I want to ask you in this segment is that we mentioned tools and successful technology projects. If you maybe can just give us your opinion, like what do you think it's a better approach, like to achieve solve the challenges of the implementing AI at scale in organization? Is it easier to do it through like using tools, employees using tools, or to showcase of the successful implemented project? Maybe both, but like, what is your opinion about it?
Okay, absolutely. I think you need to show in a very plastic, obvious way to end users why this is good for them.
Okay.
And here I'm talking, let's say, about sales and marketing professionals, which are customers of our product. So majority of them, sales reps, for example, walking around from door to door, knocking on the doors and trying to sell still a sophisticated product, which is a medicine, but still sales reps. They're not very sophisticated. If they can see that the tool you're giving them in their hands, it's easy to use and helping them better do their job, they will adopt it relatively quickly.
Okay.
And this is the key, but you need to also to provide good user experience, and you need to provide a proper, I would say, process how to get their buy-in initially. So I'll just give a few talking points. Use champions, show impact very early, make sure there are some quick wins. Use champions, I will explain what I mean, and also listen.
Okay.
So just two sentences on each. So use champions. So find first some of the let's say we are talking about sales reps in our case. Find some of the sales reps which will be quick adopters, which will adopt it, and then which will then spread the message that this is great. Yeah.
Okay.
And also listening is very important. They will have a feedback on whatever you do, and this feedback will be valuable. They will have lots of expert knowledge. You need to have a proper process and way to incorporate the feedback both into your product and your models.
What you said, domain knowledge, like people do forget that sometimes, like that there's Peter Dreyfus said that basically culture eat organization for breakfast, like, but basically process for breakfast. But this is something similar, like domain knowledge can eat the technology for breakfast, because sometimes expert system can generate much more value. You understand what is the pain point, and you know, and you have a little less technology knowledge, but you know what you need to solve. You will solve it. Of course, you will build your expertise through the project. But like I said, I think this is very important thing. Like listening, and also with listening, people don't forget that there is like one is hearing, the second one is listening. Listening has a component of understanding, and try to understand what the people are saying to us. Okay, last question I have for three of you. Of course, we can go with Stefano, and after that we'll finish with Tomislav, or Tomislav can be the second one. I don't care. Like you have totally open arms to just.
So we're not out of time. Is this right?
Yeah, but we have like a few more minutes. Like
a few more
here.
minutes. Okay.
3 more hours.
Yeah.
A few more.
Hours.
We won't stop. Don't worry.
Yeah. So basically, my question is for the company who would like to your basically, I would like to get your opinion, what you think, like your approach for a company who would like to make AI at scale in the organization. There's two ways. One is through small projects and building the momentum, or through big transformational project. What do you think is the better way for you? And I would like also to hear.
Yeah, I think it depends from who is in the company the promoter of the changement. If he's the CEO, you can also start with big change, and then I don't want to say oblige, but push the changement to everyone in the company.
Okay.
And it's still difficult. We had a visionary CEO that cover our shoulders every time in the last 4 years, but it's still difficult to have people on the drive seat that accept if they don't believe. Okay, so that's the, so usually it's I would say a combination of the two. So having a vision on the changement, and in the meantime prove value. I like the idea of prove value with also a little project to anyone in the company, especially maybe key figures that can become your ally in a more long journey.
Okay, thank you. Sinisa?
I will kind of try to turn the question upside down. Doesn't matter if it's a big or small project. What is important is that you show impact very quickly, and that you iterate. So it must not be one big project. It can be one big project, but it must have hundreds of milestones. And in each milestone, you must deliver visible change, visible benefit to end users of your AI, of your product, even in 2 weeks. So when we start our deployment, we're always very careful to define KPIs so that the reps, our customers, see the first visible result within 2 to 3 weeks, which is very, very quickly. Typically, it's improved click rate on emails which they send to their customers, which is very easy to measure and very easy to impact. We just force them to stop spamming and focus on those who really appreciate the channel. So build many milestones and make sure that there is visible impact and improvement and evolution in each of them.
Okay, Tomislav?
Divide the elephant. So that's
What?
divide the elephant in smaller chunks. So
Yeah,
smaller.
okay.
Yeah, you still need to have a strategy where you want to go, but again, how would you approach it? It's still a consulting answer. It depends, like we already said, because it depends of how you are evolved as a company who would like to do AI and ML at scale. So at which stage are you? If you are in the middle of a whole digital transformation, maybe it makes sense to do something big, but yeah, again, in a smaller steps that you see this. I'll give an example where we started to work with one of the shipping and logistics company, and they have presence in 50 countries. They have 130 companies in those 50 countries. And as soon as we started to work on a project, they started with a digital transformation to unify a bunch of different systems across all the 130 companies in 50 countries. So if we try to do something big, it will fail because you have so many moving elements. So we divided how should we approach. One of the elements were essentially tracking both via satellite imaging and sensoring activities you have like from the Lloyds and similar company who are collecting those to start predicting where you need to ship like a spare parts so that it especially if the ship will fail or have failure somewhere, so that it's really point in time and it will be there where the ship comes, because ship may be derailed and not reach the target. So all of those were really trying to predict when and how something will happen so that you can send it from the centralized warehouse globally. So that was a small case. The other, again, with the same images, is just to track sanctioned vessels. Are they passing near other sanctioned vessels or other vessels so that you know how to alert authority so that you don't have a breach, that they did a ship-to-ship transfer somewhere in the middle of ocean? Again, smaller steps.
Okay, this is excellent. Thank you so much. Can we get one big round of applause for our panelists?
Thank you.
Is there maybe some question from the public? I think we have quite. Okay. The second.
Thank you. For Sinisa, right? So pharma is, for very good reason, very heavily regulated. You have masses of sensitive PII data and so on, but obviously that data has risks as well as opportunities. So is pharma as an industry, do you find it quite conservative, or is the conservatism forced upon them by the regulations? Or maybe it's a bit of both, depending on the company.
Yeah, it's very conservative because until maybe 15 years ago, it was very simple to be a pharma CEO. There were pharma CEOs who were building skyscrapers and becoming architectural venture capitalists simply because money is coming in and the biggest function in the company was finance, deciding how to split the cake. Now, the industry is rapidly changing, and they cannot afford to be conservative anymore. There is a so-called patent cliff, which means that lots of protected medicines, patent protection is expiring, the money is shrinking, apart from a few lucky ones with Ozempic and similar drugs. This is one. Two, healthcare professionals really don't want to talk to pharma sales reps anymore. There is much more competition, and so on. So they cannot afford to be conservative anymore, in spite of regulation, which is really burdensome and just justifiable.
Okay, thank you so much, Sinisa, for the answer. With this question, we are finishing this day. Once again, one big applause for our panelists and for the whole day. Thank you so much. So basically, we're continuing the program tomorrow morning with the keynote delivery with Julia. Look, Julia is the author of this series. He is the one who invented Siri, and also he is right now Chief Scientific Officer at Renault, also dealing with autonomous driving and many interesting things. And you will hear his new talk he developed. He's going to be interesting, one of the best speakers I have ever heard in my life. Thank you so much, and see you tomorrow.